How's it going, everyone? This is Crops, aka Beast Beats, and today, as you can see on the screen, we have none other than the top 8 finish from the GOAT Grand Prix Fort Worth, Kevin Malone's GOAT Control deck profile, aka Fresh IRL, aka Golem God, and we're gonna start things off with him just kind of saying how he got into Yu-Gi-Oh and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I got into Yu-Gi-Oh probably around actually right when it first started, like right when like the Yu-Gi-Oh and Kaiba decks first came out. My mom bought me. She bought us these Yu-Gi-Oh decks, and I was like, I don't know why she bought these, right? And so I gave one to my homeboy, and we just kind of started playing, man. And eventually we found out that there was locals, and we went to like this locals, and I mean, obviously back then that's when trading was a big thing, and we didn't really have much, so we, started trading our way up, and was able to start getting better and better, and eventually got to a point where we started going to regionals and stuff like that. And can't lie to you, I think my first regional, man, I got clapped so bad that it made me rethink, like had to get back to the drawing board. So and as time went on and on and on, man, we just got better and better and better. And then like there was a point where I was playing X Sabers. It was like my first break where I was playing X Sabers, and I played against Per Weight, which is
Oh yeah.
AKA Carl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I played Carl, and we went to nationals. I forgot what year it was, and I had to play him in top 32 nationals, and he beat me with limiter with his gadgets, and man, we've been cool ever since, man. It's just nothing but respect there, and then later on as I mean, and through all this, I'm just top of regionals and stuff like that, but I never. Besides the nationals, I never really did as much. I just wasn't traveling as much, didn't have the money. But as I go further, I was able to go to this YCS Chicago. This was when Necroz and Satellite and BA was pretty big. I think the best decks at the time, and I was able to top eight that event with the Tellarknights, and I thought that was pretty cool, man. It was dope because I mean, at that point, I mean, the cross was pretty big, so for me to get a win top eight there was just pretty exciting, and I kind of got out of Yu-Gi-Oh like a little bit somewhere around there, man. I just tried to focus on life and stuff like that, and yeah, man. That's kind of how I got into Yu-Gi-Oh. That's kind of some of the things that I've done. And eventually, I found out about GOAT format about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and I kind of dabbled and dabbled in it. I remember like I was playing. I remember Patrick Hoban and I forgot this other guy's name, Desmond. I think that's his name.
Desmond Johnson.
And they were playing. They were playing Goat like at a YCS, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "People playing Goat? Like, what the hell?" I don't know. I just at the time I was like, "What are they doing?" So, and Desmond was playing for money, and I was like, well, "I played in that format, and I know what I'm doing." And like I played him, and he clapped me pretty bad. I was just like, "Man, I guess I don't know how to play Goat, at least at the time." And
Mm-hmm.
that was like my first entry into like Goat, just watching some other players play. And anyway, fast forward to like now, like I said, I learned about a year and a half ago, and I just kind of been playing here and there. There was a few like events that I went to and did, I topped those events, but it wasn't it wasn't that big until like GOAT format really until I really like kind of caught into like the GOAT format.com thing and seeing that people were doing pretty big events and Dale Bolito, guys like that. I was like, oh man, there's some pretty good, prominent players who's definitely had an impact on the game. And it kind of got me intrigued. So the first event that I got into was the GFC 17 because I had tried to get into previous events before then, but I just either was work or I would wake up late and I'm like, oh my god, that sucks. So
Yeah.
I eventually got to the GFC 17. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna actually be prepared and play in this event because I this is around the time that I found out about. I mean, obviously Golem, which we'll speak about that later. And then I wanted to get into I wanted to get in the event. I wanted to win. I wanted people to see, like, I felt like this card was pretty good, and I hadn't seen anybody play it, not on this type of level, especially in this type of deck. So, and me and my friend were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, like, like you found this card, like you need to win with this, man. Like I feel like when you win with this, like you're gonna kind of blow up or whatever. And so and I was able to play five, like for the first 5 rounds, I was able to play Gas Turbo, and I dominated every single one of them. Then I had to play against SD Killer,
Oh
and
yes.
I felt like game one, he got me. Game two, I was able to win. In game three, he was able to seal it. And then top eight, and I had to play against Lucas, which was another guy who was connected to their team, and he was able to get me two. And he's playing Warriors, and I mean, and just thinking about back at that time, I just wasn't sided for. I didn't side for that deck. I didn't actually know how to deal with that deck, but I mean, just since then, I've been playing Go pretty tough. Like, and I've learned how to kind of deal with that deck pretty easily. I say easily, but I've learned how to deal with that deck and how to manage it. So yeah, man, that's kind of just my entry into how I started and how like my course of my Yu-Gi-Oh career is kind of just led up to now. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Good. From the playground to where we are now. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. We love the golem, but yeah, like you said, we'll get to that in the deck profile here. If you guys know GFC 17, this was the first showcase of or Kevin brought the golem to the world and shown the light on the door here, the moving door. But yeah, so if you want to talk about the deck and kind of like your choices and and then after that we'll go over the rounds.
All right. So initially, when me and my buddy Nick, it's my guy, it's Nick. That's who I've been playing with since he was the guy that I first. That's the guy I handed the deck, the first Kaiba deck to, and he's the guy I've been with, like been my best friend for life. So, and we were just kind of talking about, what I should bring to this event, and I was like, you know what, like I did pretty well at the last GFC, and this card is still busted, and it's a 18 defense Hane. And I was like, let's just run this, man. Like, let's just, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna improve upon some of the things that I felt like were inconsistent and that I need to prepare for, like burn,
Mm-hmm.
warriors, things like that. Just be better prepared for those decks. And so when I decided to just cut, actually, like most decks, if you look at most chaos control decks, most of them run two chaos sorcerers,
Oh yeah.
and they run the Thunder Dragons. But I prefer to go with one Chaos Sorcerer, and that's particularly because the deck doesn't actually need it, and also you just don't want to brick. I don't want to be caught in those situations where you get like double Chaos Sorcerer and you're waiting for people to do stuff, because usually Chaos Sorcerers, you want to play them over the top of what people are doing to you. And so we just wanted to get away from that and just kind of focus more on being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ran that to one. Obviously, the Thunder Dragons, two magicians. Some players run three, some players run two. I prefer to go with the two because if you don't actually get Graceful or Pod, it's not that good. Like it's okay, but it's not that great. And I just again we wanted to just stay away from being inconsistent and having hands that are just kind of unplayable. And I went with the Mimics over the Dekochis. That was tough because I felt like, kind of looking back at it now, I feel like I would have ran with Dekochi, but I felt Mimic. I wanted more cards for Metamorphosis, and so that's kind of why I opted to go with those instead of the Dekochis, and also the fact that when you Nobleman Dekochi, like Chaos Turbo, decks like that, when you Nobleman them, it doesn't actually get rid of your Mimics. So you actually still have your cards to flip up and draw while they don't. So I felt like that was a decent trade off, but and obviously Sinister, self explanatory. Golems. I mean, I mean. So this is the thing. Like, so Gravekeeper, Spy, and Golem. Right. That was kind of like my idea behind it. Was like, well, I feel like Spy is amazing. I mean, it's a busted card for sure. I feel like that it being I feel like most people run it just because it's dark and it can't be, and Blade Knight can't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, most cards cannot get over Golem, right? Like Kaiku is probably the one of the cards that I really kind of want to keep from hitting me. So anything 18 or less can't get over it, which is majority of everybody's deck, especially Cast Turbo. They have really no card to get over it. They do attempt to snatch steal it, which it's funny because like when I played in the GFC, like I had dude he snatched and stole my uh, golem. In hindsight, it's actually pretty good. That I wish they would snatch and steal that, because now I know they can't snatch and steal BLS cards like that. Cards that people usually wait to snatch steal to kind of seal the game. So also, but yeah, like I said, man, I just think Golem overall, man, is just it's so funny because it's like when I was kind of thinking like, man, you know what? Like I really want to make an impact on this in this game. I really want to. I felt like I wanted, like I was at a place where I was like, I'm tired of running the same stuff everybody's running. So I just started looking at every single monster, and I looked through every single monster, and like I don't know how deep I was in it, but like I was deep, and then like I saw a golem, and I was like, I'm gonna go Central. I'm like, let me look at this, because I was looking at every card, like just like reading everything, just looking at defense, attack, everything, and I was like, I'm like 800 attack, 18 defense. I'm like, I don't know so many cards that can get over 18 defense. I'm like, and it's a reoccurring flip up and return your monster. I'm like, that seems like a lock, right? And so I told my friend, I was like, right away, I was like, hey, bro, like this thing is like a instant lock card. Like this locks almost every single deck out of the game. And he was like, bro, that card is busted. Like it's just flat out busted. And so I ended up running it, trying to find ways to run it. And this is particularly the deck that I felt like it's the best in. Um, to me, this is true control. Like, but anyway, that's kind of how I kind of got into running Golem. Was just like I said, just thinking about what everybody else's troubles is, and I felt like Golem was one of the cards that really people would have trouble against besides Spy, just because it doesn't do anything beyond just being at 2,000 defense. Mm-hmm. And hold on, my friend's calling me. But yeah. So and then I ran Kaiku's. I felt like Kaiku was pretty good because I felt like if I could summon Kaiku, like again, my deck was kind of predicated to play against Chaos Turbo, which everybody kind of plays Chaos Turbo. It's the most profound deck that everybody's going to play, some variant of it. And since they can't get over Golem, if you can get them in a place where you're locking them out the game, where you're flipping Golem, summoning Kaiku, and attacking, I mean, they pretty much can scoop their cards up. And generally, there was quite a few games where that ended up happening. And it comes up a lot more than people expect. So I just opted to run Kaiku over other particular cards because, like I said, I just felt like Kaiku was pretty good against Chaos Turbo. And double Tsukiyomi, that card is broken with obviously Thousand Odds Restrict and Mimics and Magician. So, and it's good against Warriors, and it's just a really, in general, a pretty good card, especially with creature swaps. So, now I ran Sangan and Breaker. The one card that I felt like I should have probably ran was main deck was Tribe Infecting Virus because I sided it against every deck. I'm not really sure why I didn't actually main deck it. I think like I had some kind of theory behind it, but as the tournament was moving forward, I was just like, yeah, probably should have just main decked this card. So that's one card I feel like I should have just found a way to get in there. Obviously all the monsters. I get two creature swaps. Obviously it's a broken card against Chaos Turbo because they don't have any way to get around it necessarily. Same thing with Warrior. The only deck that it's not good against, actually it's very bad against, is kind of like the Mirror Match, which I just didn't particularly expect to play against that deck, and I felt like I had a good matchup against them, and then it was a decent card to side deck out. So I opted to go kind of deep with the scapegoats, the three metas, the three scapegoat. I just felt like it was really good control against most of the two decks that I was extremely scared of. And the My Bodies, which I felt like that weekend they really were really good, especially if anybody watched the stream. I played against my buddy Lopez. He's on my team, Team Bone, and I got to really just kind of body him with my bodies against his Sakuritus and Mirror Force and stuff like that, just to kind of seal the game. And but yeah, everything else, man, I feel like it's self-explanatory as to why I ran it. I opted to go with the trap lineup, just a few traps instead of actually running road decrees, because I feel like the only way that you're going to actually defend against Golem is to try to attack it. And if you can't actually attack it, or if you can't actually get off the board, you're still stuck in the same dilemma. So people opt to play bad just to kind of get the card off the board. They start making plays they normally wouldn't make, and so I felt like Sakaritsu's not Rodicree, but Mirror Force and Ring were really good cards to try to stop people from trying to kill Golem versus running Rodicrees. Um, and yeah, so and then obviously when you look at the side deck, now here's the thing. I feel like I can't say for everybody. I'm not sure what people do when they side deck, but for me personally, I look at every single deck that I expect to play. Like obviously Burn. I expected to play Burn, or I expected to see Burn, and I expect to see Chaos Turbo, Warrior, things like that. And I would look at every single card that Burn, or that every single card in my deck that Burn is not good against, or every single card that is not good against Burn. Let me say that. Let me rephrase it. And I ended up looking at I think there was 8 or 9 cards. I think there was up to 12 cards. It just wasn't really that good against Burn in my deck. And I decided to morph my side deck to fit in 12 cards that's good against that deck, but also is good against Warriors and other decks, so that everything that I side out or side in is exactly the same. Like I don't just pick and choose, kind of as the rounds are going. Okay, what else side against this? Just 2 cards for this, 2 cards for this. No, I feel like you should really know what you're taking in and out. You should see what cards are good against these decks and what's bad against these decks, so that your side deck is kind of robust instead of just kind of linear as far as I'll just run mind controls and then that's it. No, hold on, you got 3 or 4 of the cards that's not a good against this deck. What about that? Do you just run those? So I opted to kind of go that route, and I felt like people against Burn, they feel like I guess Mystic Walk is good enough, and probably it is, but I feel like I'm dude, I'm not losing to this deck this weekend. That's the one deck that I felt like I don't care how good you are, I don't care, some of the cool plays you make. That deck it will body you pretty quickly and pretty easily, and I felt I was dealing with that a lot on ladder, so I didn't want to go to this event and not be prepared to play against that deck. And I felt like running Solemn Wishes and Mystic Walks was good enough for me, because there's multiple ways that you can deal with decks. You can either lock decks out from playing, like some people side deck Road Decrees. You can either pick the deck apart, which is like Dust Tornadoes, things like that, or you can just outpace the deck, which is I just personally choose to outpace the deck just to gain more life than it can deal out. Now, and that's the same thing with Warriors or other decks like that, where people choose to lock decks out of the game. And in some decks I think it makes sense, but then again I think some decks it doesn't make sense. Certain decks you can't lock them out the game because they're prepared for stuff like that. You can't lock Warriors out the game with Road Decrees. Sometimes you can, but you probably shouldn't bank on that. You should just bank on trying to just get rid of the monsters off the board. Just get the monsters off the board and see what happens from there. But trying to lock them out the game, I think, is just a bad play. Or I just don't think it's a smart choice in a sense. But yeah, I think for everything else, man. I mean, some of that I don't want to go through everything. I feel like some of it's pretty self-explanatory, like that 7 tools. I obviously sided that against Burn. I sided it against Warriors, and against I don't know if we decided to side it against Turbo. And also, there's just other decks. At an event like this, you're gonna deal with people who play locally, and usually local players like to run very weird decks that just you're not prepared for, like Skill Dreams or Necro Valley stuff, and just stuff that kind of lock you out the game, that cheese you out the game. So I just try to prepare for everything, but also make sure that my side deck can compete with all the top tier decks. So, and obviously the consult. Cursed the only deck that I wasn't actually prepared for, excuse me, was the FTK. But I also felt like I had a pretty good matchup against FTK because I could metamorphose into Dark Bolter with Thunder Dragons. If they try to Giant Grenade, I felt like I had scapegoats to keep them from FTKing me. So I felt like for the most part, I could deal with that deck just on my own. But I also wanted to make sure that I had certain cards, a couple cards in my deck to deal with that deck, like Curse of the Seal. Or Curse of whatever I think it's called. Curse, what is that thing? What is it called?
Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spell. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I felt like that card. It was either that. So this is what I was debating. I was like either that curse or the spell shield type 8. I felt like spell shield type 8 was better against the mirror match, but my friend said no, bro. Let's just run the curse because I feel like it's still good against the goat deck because you can do that against metamorphosis. It'd be hard for them to win the game. The deck is focused around that. But also against FTK, you could lock out some of their key cards, whatever depending on what the situation, whatever happened. So yeah, I felt like overall we just chose to go that way and just kind of focus on that, like kind of negating their giant grenades or whatever it is that came up. And but overall, man, I really liked the side deck. I thought it was pretty good. I thought overall the deck was good. I thought the event ran really well. Everybody was everything was pretty cool. So so I guess do you want to get into the rounds or?
Yeah. We'll get in the rounds. Yeah, I will just quickly say, yeah, I love the 7 tools. I've been wanting to play that card more myself. Like you said, like Warriors, Burn.
Yeah.
I've definitely done Curse. I've definitely started Cursed Seal already, and I have hit Metamorphosis with it before. And my opponent tried to use another one later in the duel, and I was like, nope, can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to test the Golem though. I need to test this out still. I haven't tested the Golem yet, so that's.
Yeah, I think like man, like before we get into the like just kind of the rounds, because not gonna lie to you, man, I have like short term memory, so to know what actually was happening was gonna be tough. But I would say that like um I would say that, like I said, the overall tournament was ran really well. Round one, I played against I forgot his name, but I know he's a known player. I know, especially known, I think locally, and he was pretty cool. I think like the round, I think I actually I 2-0'd him, but that was because I don't think he knew what my deck was about, and he wasn't necessarily prepared for it. And I think my body, game one and game two, actually kind of sealed the deal. Very unexpected card. People are not at all expecting it, and it just kind of throws them off. Like they usually feel for sure like when they mirror force you, like that's going through.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it just wasn't. So I was able to play more aggressive against him when I had that card. And then round two, obviously played against my guy Mercenary. He's well known, definitely tops the ladder all the time. Well known around the community for sure. Really good guy. A lot cooler than I thought in person. I remember I played him on ladder. I mean, he's different on ladder, but I mean, once you get to know the guy and you see him, he's actually really cool, man. It was good seeing him.
Yeah, that was your feature, right? Round 2 feature.
You said what?
That was your one of your features too against Mercy.
Yeah, it was in my features. Yeah. So that was dope. I just like when I sat there and I was playing them, and I don't know how I came up, but I was like, oh, you played online? And he was like, yeah, Mercenary. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, wow, okay, that's what's up. So it was just dope, and it was just dope to see people that you actually play on, online on the ladder and get a chance to play them, man, in real life. So I think that was really cool, and he, it was funny because game one, I remember listening to to his interview, and he did beat me game one, but it was funny. Like I felt like game one, like I felt like I was kind of in control, but then like what ended up happening was that, because I do remember this, is that like I had my body in my hand, but the times that he actually stopped my cards, my body was of no use because he solemn judgment me. I think it's in a situation, maybe twice, I'm not sure, but then he Phoenix Woman Blast, which my body did nothing to, couldn't do anything to neither one of those situations. So he was able to just get in a stronger position to take the game. And game two, I think like I caught him with like a Magician of Faith flip and Pot of Greed, and I was just able to take the game pretty soundly. And then game three, I'm not sure how that game went actually, but I know I ended up winning. I just can't actually remember how the game played out, man. I'm just blame the heat on that.
Yeah.
But but and then like I don't remember my opponent round three. But round 4 and 5, I do remember. I don't know this guy's name, but he was really cool. He actually talked about the golems. He was like, man, he's runs that card golem, and he was like, yeah. And then he was talking to his buddy next to him, and he was like, yeah, man, I picked me up a set, and I was like, oh, what made you pick up a set? He's like, oh, this guy, top put him at the GFC. I'm like, oh, that's me. He was like, oh, what? Oh, that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? It was kind of dope that they saw that and that they ordered some and that they didn't even realize he was playing against me, and he really showed me some love. So I thought that was cool. But the game one, and I think it went to game three, and I just ended up. I don't know how. I just know I ended up winning. But he was a really tough opponent. I actually was kind of scared, like when I was playing him. I was like, man, this dude is like playing so smooth, so nice, like like a pro player. And I was like, man, it's gonna be tough. Usually, I can tell how tough someone's gonna be if depending on how they shuffle their cards and how they play their cards. So
Right.
I think it was gonna be tough, man. And he was really good all the way through. I think he was running Spirit Reapers and stuff like that, and I run like Scapegoat, so he just never got a chance to kind of get off any of his strategies, and I was able to take it. But yeah, I just think, man, like overall, like a lot of people they just wasn't prepared. They didn't know how to deal with certain situations. What my deck was trying to do, because me personally, like I think that my deck, like I would even say, well, my new version, but this version that I was playing with at the event, it has like 3 levels to it. Like number one, you have the chaos package, right? You have your regular normal monster, but you also have the creature swaps and the metamorphosis. So you can usually respond to somebody's board with just metamorphosis or creature swap. And if they stop that, you still have another line of play, which is your own monsters. And even if they stop that, you have the chaos sorcerers to really just come back over the top. So you have multiple layers to what you can do to opponent's board, because I feel like this deck is focused around controlling the board, keeping your monsters off the board, and me having constant pressure on you. So I felt like that's just my mindset when it comes to this deck. And I always want a deck that can do multiple things. Like I feel like Chaos Turbo, it does one thing very well. If it gets Graceful or Pot, yeah, it's gonna do some crazy things, But if it doesn't get that, the deck, does struggle to actually win games. It has a lot of trouble getting darks in the graveyard, although it wouldn't seem like it. But if like if when they get noblemened a lot and stuff like that, they can have some serious trouble getting darks in the graveyard. Which is funny. That deck is meant to actually get chaos monsters on the board early and fast and quick and play fast. But if you notice, a lot of times then they get stuck with those chaos sorcerers because they just can't sometimes get them on the board because either they don't have the lights or they don't have the darks, but it's supposed to be turbo. I don't know, So I don't know. I just feel like this deck actually has a lot easier time getting lights and darks in the graveyard, just because of Thousand Eyes Restrict and Metamorphosis and stuff like that. So, but then like I said, round five. I mean, and then like round five, I played against my dude Lopez. He's on my team. I didn't know that at the time. I did know he was coming down to this event. I didn't know what he looked like, and just it was dope when I got to play him. And then in the Discord, they were like, "Hey, did you guys know y'all played each other?" And they were like, "You better introduce yourselves to each other, whatever." And I was like, when I seen him, I was like, "Oh, what up, bro, man? It's nice to meet you, man." He was like, "Oh, that's what's up, man." So that was dope seeing one of my teammates that I just, that was just dope. But like, I got to see my teammates, got to see Mercenary, got to see Ryan Spicer, very iconic player. Just, I mean, even his and even Kyle Bowling, very iconic player. I mean, there was, and I'm sure there's more if I'm forgetting anybody. Shout out to my guy Nick. Like, I feel like he's better than all of us. He just hasn't gotten his moment yet. So I just feel like, yeah, it was just like overall a great experience, man. That I got to play these people. So leading into the top eight.
Yeah, after round 5, what's the top guy?
Yeah, the top cut.
I'm hovering over these three guys right here.
Yeah, I know, right, man. I can't like. I actually felt good, man. I was like, I felt good. My girl was fanning me. I was I was hydrated,
Yeah.
and I and like I opened my opening hand, man. It was like Triple Thunder Dragon.
And BLS.
And but
Okay.
you know what though,
Yeah.
and it was tough. It felt tough. But I have to admit, man, he was game two. He was. I'm gonna just chalk game one up to like just a brick, but game two though, man, he side decked really well. I didn't side out my creature swaps, and he sided in scapegoats.
Oh yeah.
And when you smoke screen scapegoats in, that was pretty dope because I just wasn't expecting it because I didn't see it get. I had to play the same guy that I played round one. Well, I didn't see scapegoats round one, so I just wasn't. I didn't expect him to put those in there. I didn't know he even had them in his side deck. So when I played him in the top eight, and he sided those in there, man, it really caught me off guard, and it made all my creature swaps in my hand dead, and he was just able to take the game pretty easily, man. So my hats off to him, man, for taking me out. He's a cool guy, very chill. Overall, man, it was just a good event, man. I really can't complain. So hopefully, I did this interview pretty well, man.
Yeah.
It's my first time doing it.
No, yeah, you did great. Honestly, we had definitely one of the. I'm not going to bash anyone else, but definitely one of the better interviews. We still need to get Mr. Shogun Lopez or David Lopez on here one of these days.
Yeah, yeah, Lopez. That's the yeah. He's really cool, man. I really like him, man.
Yeah, he was on.
Yeah, no. I mean, before I kind of get off, man, I think like I just kind of talking about like this whole like GOAT thing and like how like I don't know. For me, I feel like it's kind of like in the last like year or like last 6 months, it's just really skyrocketed in popularity. Like, or maybe I just didn't know that there was a war league and all this other stuff that was going on because if you don't know, you don't know because it's not like it's being shown like on GoFormat.com or anything like that. You don't know even though this thing exists. So this whole time I've been playing on ladder, thinking like that's it, like thinking like GFCs and ladder was it. But no, once I like noticed that there was like war leagues and other FLCs and
FLCs,
obelisks and
Patreon.
I was like, yeah, I was like, what? I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I'm like stepped into a new world. And so it's just dope, man, seeing all these players and seeing all these people and just seeing all this good energy, man. Even if they come at me, like I mean, a lot of them, they don't know me, so like a lot of these players are just like, I like okay, so I don't know if you know, but like I played what's his name? I don't know his name, but I think it's Geist D.
Oh, Geist
or
D.
Geist.
Yeah, Geist D.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had to play him in the. I don't even know. Maybe I'm kind of going off the rocker here, but anyway, so like I played him in the War League, and he and like so game one, like he goes delinquent. Oh no, I go first. I just set and soda or something like that, and he goes pot and delinquent. And all I have left in my hand is Sinister, two Metamorphosis, and a Book of Moon when I draw for my turn. And he's got a Singing in attack mode, and he'd attack with it. And I was like, well, I didn't have anything else, so I like, everybody's kind of bashing me because I was like, said Sinister, activate Metamorphosis, and I took his Singing, and I actually ended up beating him that game. And they're like, I can't believe you sucked up a Singing turn two. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like what I just didn't want. Like me personally, I was like, I feel like that was a good play because I'm like, what do you want me? I'm not gonna set Sinister. I don't know what he has in his hand. He could Nobleman, then what? I just lose for free. So I just like it's just dope seeing these people come at me, man. I enjoy it. Like I'm all for the smoke. Shout out to Guys D. Shout out to JDZ, man. He's been looking out for me, defending me. So it's just dope, man. Just seeing all these players and. I'm just excited, man. So I hope that I get to do more great things, man, and hopefully more people will run Golem. Actually, not. I hope they don't, but yeah, I hope more people run Golem.
Yeah. One thing I was going to mention about Golem is against, like you said, against Turbo, right? If you can go first and just start, like he's talking about them having trouble getting attributes in the grave, you keep sending their flips back to their hand. That's like, that makes them just sit there. They can't even do anything.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, what are you doing? Like, I know, right? It's like that's what blew my mind, man. Like when I was like this, and then, it's even crazy. They have another card that kind of does the same thing, but it just has 14 defense,
Oh,
and it's called Guardian Statue, I
right,
believe.
right, right. Yep.
And
Guardian.
yeah, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. I just honestly, man, for nobody to kind of, you know what? Even after I've played it, and people, and I don't care what they run. Like you can run whatever you want. I'm still gonna run Golem. Like I don't, Warriors. It doesn't matter. I just side them out. It's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But people like still kind of haven't caught on to it. Actually, a buddy of mine named Shifty, he plays. He's the one who invited me to his team.
Team Bones. Yeah.
He actually topped some event with golems. I think just there was just some kind of event. I don't know if it was an Obelisk at FLC. I don't know what it was. I think it was a Patreon event. I'm not sure, but he actually topped that top 8 that event with the golems featuring Golem, and I was like, wow, so that's top number 2. It was just like, oh, that's dope. Like, man, I can't wait to see more people do well with that card, man. I think it's really good, and I think I should see more of it because I feel like it's in the right deck. I feel like it's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, before I forget, one thing I did want to mention. I noticed there were no Book of Moons. How do you feel about that card?
Um, okay, so this is the thing. Book of Moon is really good, but there's a difference, right? Like there's a difference between tech cards and staples. Book of Moon is not a staple. Book of Moon is a tech card. It's a card that you tech. It's not good against Turbo. It's not good against Warriors. It's only good against like. It was initially ran for goats, like for the Metamorphosis. So if you're not expecting to play that, or you don't expect to play that, or if your deck is weak against it, probably you should run Book of Moon. My deck's not weak against that particular deck, so I'm not inclined to run a card that is a tech card for me, and I don't prefer to side it because that deck is just not that important to side deck for. You should be able to beat that deck on its own, or if you want to side, I feel like if I'm gonna do something like that, I might side. Again, that's one of the cards to me like that's trying to pick the deck apart. There's other cards that try to just wipe their boards, like Assured Priest and stuff like that. At first, I was initially side decking Jogging against the deck because I was siding Jogging against FTK. So I treat FTK and Go kind of the same. The same cards kind of answer that deck in some ways. So I felt like overall, I just didn't need to really side deck for that deck, and I just don't think Book of Moon is that good. I feel like it can be an egg, technically, if you book a Moon monster, and I just rather sack it to armor it personally. But like I said, overall though, it's a really good card. The only reason I would run it is to stop Book of Moon against like Golem. I'm trying to snatch and steal it, but honestly, like everybody who snatched and stole Golem, like I have to admit, initially at the event, I didn't know Snatcher still was that good against Golem, but then as I changed my deck up and changed some things around, it just like them snatching Golem is like the last of my worries. Yeah, I actually want you to snatch and steal it. Like that's what I was telling my friend. I'm like, man, I hope they snatch and steal it, like because BLS is gonna drop on their head, and I know for sure they don't have no answer for it. So yeah, that's just kind of how I consider it. But yeah, I don't think Book of Moon is I think it's a good card, but I think it's a tech card. Just like I think Creature Swap's a tech. I mean, there's cards that are tech cards to me. I just don't think they need to be. Um, I don't think they're that important if you know why. Do people know why they run them? I think that's the question. If they know why they run them, then I think you should run them. But if you don't know why you're running those cards, then you probably shouldn't be running it. People just run. I feel like they just add a Book of Moon in, just like I'm gonna add a book in.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, why do you got one Book of Moon in your deck? What is this? Is this and I don't run Space Typhoon in my main deck. That's also another card I don't main deck. Because it's to me personally, it's not good against Warriors. I'm not trying to 1-for-1 that deck. That deck is a 1-for-1 king. Um, I'm not trying to 1-for-1 Chaos Turbo because most of the stuff is chainable. I'm not trying to end phase pop a random card. Not trying to do that. That's just not my strategy against. That's just not particularly a good concept to me. I've never been like a random space stat. Like I try to run cards that I play well. I don't play space well unless it's obvious, like Snatch and Steal. That's an obvious play. Premature Bear, Call It a Haunted, stuff like that. It's an obvious play. But if it's just randomly shooting, sniping a card, that's just not my style. So I prefer to run cards that work to my interests and that I play well. Some people like randomly spacing cards. Like I don't, I personally don't. I mean, that's kind of like some shots, but I'm not trying to throw shots. It's just the idea of it just doesn't make sense, right? If you're like, cause me, I played chess. I've played um, Magic the Gathering. Like there were like last year I was playing Magic. I don't know if anybody knows Magic online, Arena online. Like then you know that like to get to Mythic, you got to be one of the best. Like because it's not easy to get to Mythic. And me and my buddy we got to Mythic. Like we literally got the game, played it for like 2 weeks, and we was already in Mythic. I mean, and so just playing those different games, playing chess. I play chess regularly. It just makes me see the game differently. And yeah, just doing random things like that just doesn't make sense to me personally. Like I don't do. I try to be accurate as possible. And to me, just doing something like kind of randomly rolling a dice and hitting a random card just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't like. In some situations though, depending on the deck, I will run it. I'm not saying it's off the table, but for the most part, I run that card against FTK, Scapegoat deck, and
Probably burn.
Burn.
Yeah.
And Burn. Right. Like those are the cards that see that's more sound. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm trying to hit with it. But yeah. But other than that, man, no, I don't. I don't particularly run that card. Another card that I felt like I should have main deck was Torrential. I just at the time I just didn't do it, but it's so broken that you just should run it. Like Tribe and Torrential are just so broken. Like I didn't like the cards are just insanely broken. Like and especially against like Chaos Turbo because a lot of the times what they do is they flip up their spies and stuff. So what does it make them do? It makes them play kind of iffy because they're like, well, I got both spies on the board. He has an open board and they don't want to summon because guess what? They feel like they're going to get torrential. So they start to play more reserved because they know torrential and mirror force. If spies is on the board, torrential and mirror force are god cards against them because they start getting risky and they start trying to get you out of there and it'll cost them the game just by doing something like that. So yeah, like I said, I just felt like I should have main decked those two cards, but I didn't. But didn't actually cost me too much. But yeah, I think those are the two cards that I would have actually main decked if I can go back.
Yeah, for sure. I like your reasoning, yeah, and why you don't play book. Like you said, it's not Thousand Eyes is not this deck's biggest nightmare like it is for something like Warriors. And you got two Sooks, right? You got the books on legs. You got two of those in the deck.
Yeah.
And then as far as what was the other thing? Oh yeah, I like your reasoning also on like against something like Warrior or Turbo instead of blind spacing, you can do like 7 tools, or you can do My Body, and then that's
exactly.
That's gonna. You don't have to blind hit it. You can just react to it. Yeah, I like your reasoning there. That's pretty solid. Let's see. So that we did the deck, we did the tournament. Let's see. Any final shout outs or words you want to give to the people?
Hey man, just know I'm coming for y'all. Hey, I'm ready for the smoke. So all that stuff you're talking, I'm with it. I'm just I'm playing, man. I love everybody, man. I love it. I love the energy. I appreciate you coming down, man, showing me love. I didn't know who you were at the time, but now I know your crops. I did, so that's dope. Because I've seen you before, and it's been just dope to me to see people and put names on Discord and stuff like that, and doing book to the people that I see in person. So I think that's really cool. Everybody, I just hope it gets bigger and bigger, man. I hope Konami one day does an event for GOAT format at nationals like other. I think other countries do. They do host GOAT events like nationals, GOAT nationals. So hopefully, man, one day something like that'll be a reality, man. And I think that'll be crazy.
Yeah, awesome. Well said. I agree. It is nice to put faces to the people you play with online for so much amount of time throughout the just weeks and months and like you said years when we found this format again was alive and well. And yeah, shout out to GoFormat.com for keeping it alive as well. And
Absolutely.
yeah, with that being said, y'all, this is again has been Kevin, aka Fresh IRL, aka Golem God, with his deck, and I just want to let y'all know to remember to share, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. And until next time,
All right, man.
bye.